Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 10 with Sirus Migration Live. We are excited, even though the borders were closed. Now it's been lifted in Brisbane, Queensland. Lockdown, yeah. So we still decided to do our live. We are joining you from home, so it's not the office environment. It's a different background today. So my name is Suriyapa. I'm an Australian registered migration agent, and I've got Ashani Yapa here with me. She's an Australian migration agent right next to me. Ashani and me, we're going to talk about some new changes.
Yes,
and also,
so-
Ashani is going to talk to you about the program today, and then we will discuss each point, and then there are quite a bit of new information that we would like to share, and then we will answer any of your questions. Please feel free to put your questions down below in the comment section, and we'll try to get through as many questions as possible within the given time. We try to spend about half an hour to 40 minutes with you, depending on the number of questions and the times we've got allowed. So, Ashani, what are we going to talk about?
So we're going to talk about business visas today. As you know, the business visa, as we know, is going to end 30th of June. Bit emotional. Some of the streams are closing down and they are reducing the business visa. So this is Australian business visa, subclass 188 and subclass 132. So we have lodged some final cases, and I will talk about a little bit about business visas, but our main focus is going to be South Australia skilled migration.
And New South Wales.
Yes, and New South Wales skilled migration. So if you want to start with the New South Wales skilled migration, then I will move on to South Australia skilled migration.
Look, we've been talking about business visa for a bit, so we'll talk about it later. But today we've got some great news came through. New South Wales, they have extended their occupation list for 491. So we have put out latest video a few days ago about a full breakdown of Queensland's program. Ashani is going to go deep into South Australian program, but today we'll be talking about New South Wales. New South Wales skill migration program is quite clear, simple, and straightforward. When it comes to sponsored skill migration in New South Wales, New South Wales got two streams, 190 and 491. 190, the list is still there. It's operating, and depending on your scores, there's not been much different from the previous list. I'll be putting out a video in coming days. We will talk in detail, and we will go through each occupation and explanations on each occupation there for you. But today we will give you a snapshot of the program. So we talked about 190 and 491. 491, the complication comes is when you look into New South Wales, is they have regions separated, and each region's got their own list of occupations.
Actually brings in to tell us that the actual purpose behind the subclass 491 and 190, isn't it? So this visa is sort of introduced so the states and territories can fulfill their labor shortages. And states like South Australia and New South Wales have gone dig deep in and identified what occupations are in high demand and in their special regions. And that's why they have opened up some occupations in some regions, and some occupations are not open in the same region. And now they have come and, as we expected, they have expanded this list, which is great news for most of our applicants who are waiting desperately until their time comes. So we have a wider range of occupations available now. So do you want to talk about some of the occupations?
Look, the list is gone quite big, but I will simplify it. So these occupations looks like they are valid for all the regions in New South Wales, but different regions also have their own specialized list of occupations as well, which was there since last few months. So in our video that we put out, we'll talk in detail about the previous ones, what we've got now, but I'll talk about the new occupations came out as of today. So the list is construction and project manager, childcare center manager, health and welfare services manager, not elsewhere classified, cafe and restaurant manager, that's a good one, hotel and hotel or motel manager. Going back to cafe and restaurant manager and motel manager, very similar occupations with similar requirements for the education background too, diploma level.
Yeah.
So diploma of hospitality management, diploma of business management. So there were a lot of clients who had the qualification, didn't know where to go. 491, you only need 50 points by yourself. So accountant general, that's another good one. Accountants are quite confused these days if you wanted to migrate where to go. So New South Wales regional areas incentivizing you or supporting you in that regards. Management accountant, taxation accountant, external auditor, internal auditor, economist, architect, chemical engineer, material engineer, civil engineer, geotechnical engineer, quantity surveyor, structural engineer, transport engineer, electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, production or plant engineer, mining engineer, excluding petroleum though, engineering professionals not elsewhere classified, medical laboratory scientist, veterinarian, early childhood teacher, secondary school teacher, special needs teacher, medical diagnostic radiographer, medical radiation therapist, sonographer, occupational health and safety officer or advisor, optometrist, retail pharmacist, chiropractor, occupational therapist, physiotherapist, emergency medicine specialist, obstetrician and gynecologist, ophthalmologist, pathologist, medical practitioners not elsewhere classified, midwives, nurse manager, nurse practitioner, registered nurses, all the way through all the registered nurses categories, including aged care, child and family health, community health, critical care and emergency, disability and rehabilitation, medical, practical, mental health, perioperative, surgical, pediatric, and also not elsewhere classified nurses. They're all registered nurses. You need to have nursing registration to be qualified to this. So ICT business analyst, system analyst, web developer, programmer, software engineer, systems administrator, computer network and systems engineer, network administrator, ICT support engineer, ICT systems test engineer, psychologist not elsewhere classified, social worker, welfare worker, medical laboratory technician, civil engineering draftsperson, civil engineering technician, electrical engineering draftsperson, electrical engineering technician, automotive electrician, motor mechanic general, diesel motor mechanic, sheet metal trades workers, metal fabricators. They're all the new trade qualifications that came through which were not there. Welder, first class, fitter general, fitter and turner, fitter, welder, metal mechanics, panel beaters, bricklayers, carpenters and joiners, glaziers, fibrous plasters, wall and floor tilers, plumbers, drainers, gas fitters, roof plumbers, electricians, air conditioning and refrigerations mechanics, baker, pastry cook, butcher and small goods maker, chef, cook, cabinet maker, enroll nurse, community worker, program or project administrator. Enroll nurse is another really good one. You only need a diploma from a lot of colleges. They offer it. TAFE Queensland does it. TAFE New South Wales does it. TFLs everywhere does it. So 18 months, you'll be eligible to become an enrolled nurse, and you study 2 more years, then you can become a registered nurse. So nurses been lifted up. This enrolled nurse we didn't see elsewhere. So these lists were introduced today to New South Wales 491 visa. So as I said earlier, 491 is a provisional visa. It's a 5-year visa. It's not permanent residency straight away. But the state government sponsorship allows you 15 points on top of whatever the points you have. So if you have 50 points, you'll be qualified with
15 points from the state.
From the
state. To make it 65.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's a really good entrance and really good news for a lot of clients who were looking at options. We have a whole heap of clients approaching us in regards to this already. Our emails and inquiry lines gone bombasted. Feel free to talk to us. We'll be here to support you all the way. So this list can be revisited in 1st of July when the new
or in July whenever the budget comes.
So when the new financial year comes, it'll be changed, or it'll be revisited, or it might be shrink back again, or expanded again. So if you're qualified, this is the best time, not tomorrow, not day after, just today. So be in touch. We'll help you wherever we can.
Yeah.
And Shan is so excited to talk about.
Answer some of the questions. I can see many questions.
You don't want to talk about South Australia first, because when we start this, we're not gonna.
Because these people have been waiting, should we just quickly answer some questions? Sure. Yeah, we'll take about 5-10 minutes to answer some quick questions, and then we will move in to talk about South Australia.
Any states open for offshore?
No, the answer is no. Even
technically,
though,
yes. Tasmania, option 3, they do allow you to apply, but discussing with the state government, talking about what options are available.
Most likely you may not get an invitation unless you're like really highly talented person with a job offer from that state. In an occupation with PMSOL, then maybe we can talk to the state and see if they'll be happy to extend you an invitation. But most likely, it's no, still no.
Until you're a software engineer and you got 95 points, which is good. If you have applied before, I think this month they'll have another round of invitations for 189. Or if you're willing to apply, we can probably look into it. With having 95 points, you got a few options available. Unfortunately, you're offshore, so if we could, if you could demonstrate what's different about you and what sort of software engineer you are, there might be options for you to apply from offshore. But there is no guaranteed pathways for offshore at the moment.
Yeah.
So there are other ways you can work around it, but be in touch, share your CV, set up an appointment with us to talk one-on-one. We can look into your profile deeply if you were to set up an appointment and discuss personally with you, so we can study more about you and not just one permanent residence pathway or a migration pathway. We can look into to your profile in a holistic manner. So set up an appointment with one of us and we'll give you further information.
I've got Umesh. Hello, I'm from India. I had completed AMIE, Mechanical Engineering from India. I want to know whether this degree is valid for immigration to Canada. I'm really sorry we can't answer that question. I'm not an expert in Canadian migration.
We are not registered migration agents for Canada. We are registered migration agents for Australia.
Get in touch with the Canadian agent. They'll be able to help you. I'm sure there are many in India. So I've got SAN 5 for occupation on medium to long-term strategic list. Which visa subclass gives permanent residency from day 1? Okay, so from day 1, the permanent residency, you will get it from subclass 190, subclass 189, Or if you go for employee-nominated visas, you will get the residency from day one from subclass 186. So subclass 190, 189, or subclass 186. They are the permanent residency pathways.
Yeah.
Either way, TRT, either way, it will be permanent
but he has
residency.
To be working right now.
Yeah. So I've got Priyanka here. Hi, GTI application. Hi, Priyanka. As for the requirement, I'm qualified, but need clarification for nominator. Is it must that the nominator field should be exact like the applicant? Yes. So if you're going to use a nominator, the nominator must be an expert or must be a prominent person in your nominated field who should be able to sort of like nominate you or guarantee about you or vouch for you in the form 1000, and also write a recommendation letter, so the nominator should know your expertise as well to talk about them. And the nominator must be either Australian permanent resident, citizen, or an eligible New Zealand citizen.
So technically they're only saying it just has to be an Australian permanent resident or a citizen, but the prominency has to be there to demonstrate how they're going to nominate
because
you.
There are some questions in Form 1000 where nominator has
about
to
the background of the.
So they must know about you and they have to be from.
For an example, if you're a specialist in financial services, you do not need to. The nominator doesn't need to be. Expert in financial services sector, but it can be a person or a project manager that you supported in a different project in a senior level, who can nominate this person's got this much skills and connections globally, which can make this which can in my opinion be a good fit into this global talent independent program in Australia. So, and
to add to that, Priyanka, the program is getting tougher by the day because of the number of applications they are receiving, and there's a huge wait period. So if you are qualified, again, get in touch with the migration agent. It's better to have someone who deals with a lot of GTI applications, because we have templates and we have sort of recommendation letter formats that you can use to highlight your profile. Because if you go into the normal wait list, there's about 6, 7, 8, 9 months waiting period. Unless they see that you're a prominent case, then you may get an invitation like our expert Willem did in 7 days.
Yes, we have a really good. See, Global Talent Program is a really good program that Australian High Commission or Department of Home Affairs came up with. It targets the prominent experts in the fields in selected target sectors, and I believe to experience we have, the more prominent your application, the more prominent your expertise are, you're likely to get invited and process quickly. So congratulations to Willem Moostik today, one of our fellow migration agents within the firm. Last week we are very proud to say we had a nomination granted or invitation granted within 7 days. That's a pretty good number. So if you have anything, if you require any support regarding GTI, Global Talent Independent Visa, please be in touch. Let's move into the next one.
Yes, I've got
Ankit Kutyal.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Vandana. Can I go to Australia for PhD in pharmacy? Yes, see, with PhD, it's a matter of getting in touch, finding a supervisor in a university and talking to them about your plan. So PhD doesn't really have set programs or set degrees. It depends on which university can help you with funding, if that's what you're expecting, and if there is a supervisor who can support your thesis. So get in touch with us. We can also facilitate this to find a university and find a supervisor and help you through the process.
We now normally talk to international directors and find the best solution for your best research criteria for your expertise. So we can always guide you through in that regards. It doesn't cost you anything to use us. It's It's a free of charge service for our clients. So if you were to study or if you require any guidance in education enrollments to Australian universities, please be in touch. It's a free service from us.
Okay, I've got Vastal. We've got many questions, so we will try our best to quickly go through some of the questions and give you some brief answers.
Let's talk about Ankit and then talk about South Australian migration, and then we'll come back to this again. So Ankit Kutyal, your question is not really clear. You're talking about 491 sponsored on petrol pump and supermarket. Let me put my wizard hat and guess this question.
Can you retype the question, please? Paraphrase it so we can understand your question better. I think what you want to know.
What he's targeting is 491 small business category, especially in Tasmania. They say supermarket and petrol service areas not qualified as a business to be purchased. So if that's what you're asking, unfortunately, in Tasmania, you're not allowed to buy a petrol pump or a supermarket as your primary business to be qualified for small business owner category. But in Queensland, there's no restriction in that regards.
Yeah,
so let's talk about South Australian migration stream, and then we come back to you again. We have to be time conscious as well. All right.
Okay, with South Australia, South Australian government, again, like any other state government, have their own priorities, and they have come up with a really great system for their state-nominated visas. Again, in South Australia, there's Subclass 190 and there's Subclass 491. But there are many other streams available within these subclasses, and there are many great exemptions like work experience or residency requirements or English, depending on if you're a South Australian living and working in South Australia, if you're living and working in outer regional South Australia, if you're high talented graduate with high scores, or if you're working in one of the critical sectors in South Australia, or you can be eligible under talent program if you're running businesses in South Australia, or if you have graduated with higher marks and higher GPA. So it's a great program, as again in New South Wales occupation list, South Australian occupation list, I think it's bigger. There are so many occupations across so many industries. So when people ask us what's a good state to move, sometimes we do recommend them South Australia as well, because of the availability of many occupations. Not only Subclass 190 and 491, South Australia also has a Dharma list. So many people are a bit confused what Dharma is and how it works. So Dharma is an employer-nominated visa category where state government together with the other governments have agreed, okay, this state really are struggling for some of the occupations. Because of that, we are going to give some exemptions for some of the employer-nominated visas in order for that state to bring in more people so they can fill this gap of unemployment and fill this gap of all these jobs that they are struggling to find workers for. So Dharma is another occupation list. I will go, after I talk about Subclass 190 and 491 briefly, I will go through the Dharma list and give some examples. It's again a huge list. It's not practical for us to go through every single occupation, but I will try my best to explain it to you so you understand the concept behind it. And if you believe you're eligible for that, so you can get in touch with the migration agent to find out how that category can apply to your specific scenario. So to go with Subclass 190, right, most of the other states have uniform requirement across the state. For example, I will take Queensland as an example. If you want to apply for Subclass 190 in Queensland, you need 6 months. Doesn't matter which occupation. It's a bit different in South Australia. That's why it can be quite complicated. So for example, let's say you want to apply for subclass 190 as a teacher or as a mechanic or as a different occupation, then you have different requirement depending on your occupation. So I believe for all our applicants and our viewers who are waiting for South Australia, the first starting point should be your occupation. So you start with your occupation. With your qualification, are you going to be a mechanic? Are you going to be an accountant? Or are you going to be a primary school teacher? Then we go down and see, all right, if I'm a mechanic, am I eligible for subclass 190? So I'm just going to take one example for you, which can give you some good idea.
Good.
I will actually take the secondary school teacher. So if you're a secondary school teacher, then you are eligible to apply for subclass 190 in South Australia. Other than the general requirement, the requirement is you have to be working in your nominated or closely related occupation. So in here, I would again like to explain, closely related in South Australia means first 2 ANSCO digits. This is again a really good thing for our applicants where they have experience in not their own occupation but a closely related. Normally, closely related means first 4 ANSCO digits, but in South Australia, it's first 2 digits. It's broadened out, which is to, again, I believe, to help applicants even if they have some sort of experience in a related field. And also, when we talk about work experience, unlike most of the other states, you need to only be working 20 hours a week or 40 hours a fortnight, which is equivalent to part-time. But keep in mind, though, your work experience has to be post-qualification, which means after the qualification. So going back to my point, for secondary school teacher, subclass 190 is available and subclass 491 is available. Also, it's available through the Talent and Innovators program. So as I said, not every occupation is available through all of the streams. So first thing, you find your occupation, then you go and see what is the easiest way you can get into one of these streams, which is going to give you permanent residency the quickest way. The best way to do it is get in touch with a migration agent who handles South Australian immigration in a day-to-day basis. So for secondary school teacher for subclass 190, you have to be working in your nominated or closely related occupation for the last 12 months in Greater Adelaide, or 6 months if you're in outer regional South Australia. So again, they divided. You are still eligible to apply for 190, which is permanent residency, even though you're working in outer regional and you only need 6 months. That's again promoting outer regional and encouraging people to find jobs not in the cities, just beyond. And also you're eligible for subclass 491. You have to be currently working in your nominated or closely related occupation for at least 6 months in South Australia. This is also available through Talent and Innovators program. And also some of these occupations, most of these occupations have waivers if you're a long-term resident or if you're working in outer regional South Australia. And also this occupation is available through South Australia Graduate Pathway. So if you're a graduate of South Australia, if you study this course in South Australia, you only need to have work experience in closely related occupation for 3 months. So you could be eligible for 190 with 3 months work experience as long as you graduated from South Australia. And again, if you're a graduate of South Australia, you can apply for either 190 or 491 with no work experience as long as you graduated PhD, Masters by Research, or GPA of 5 or higher in a Masters by coursework, or first class honors of a bachelor's degree with proficient English. So what I can tell you with this is, depending if you're living in South Australia, if you're a graduate, or if you just moved to South Australia, there could be many pathways available. It really depends on your occupation. So first find your occupation, figure out whatever it is, or if you're thinking of moving to South Australia or starting to study in South Australia, get in touch with the migration agent, find out which possible pathway you may be eligible for, and then make a decision in South Australia.
So that's all about South Australia. If there's any other questions, as we say, please be in touch. And we would like to talk about the 188 categories briefly, and then we will take a little bit of time to answer these questions before we wrap up for the day. I know the 30 minutes is up, but we will go a little further to answer some of your questions. So subclass 188 visa, we've spoken earlier as well. It's gone from 9, I think, streams to 4 streams now. So, but 188A, B, and C are still there, which are the most popular business visa streams. 188A is not as hard as people think it is. So if you're in business, if you have a business background within the last 4 years, if you've been in business with a remarkable background, and if you think you're ready to expand to Australia, it gives you a good opportunity to come here. It's a point-based system. You need to fulfill both the federal government and the state government, and the age limits are till 55. Currently, one of the biggest changes coming up is you're required to have 2 major things to be qualified for this, other than the age requirement federally. So one is the turnover requirement of the business. So the business turnover used to be is currently at $500,000, which is $500,000 a year.
It's gone up to 750,000, and the second requirement is your assets.
Yeah,
used to be, well, it is now 800,000, but from 1st of July, it is going to go up to $1.25 million.
Our viewers, please note, it's just increasing the number of applicants for this program. Certain states have already filled up their quota. So you still have good opportunities to get into this program. If you're in business, if you're thinking about coming in, or your benchmarks are low and then you're looking at other options, this is the right time. So if you have any business visa related questions, we have been quite successful with quite a few complicated business visa categories. We've been very successful being a part of quite a number of business visa clients last year, and complicated and uncomplicated ones, and we have had grants within the first year sort of thing. So not saying we have magic wands behind it, but
yeah, if you have any business visa inquiries, get in touch with us. We have few migration agents working for business visas, and
let's quickly get through to some of these questions. Yes. Vastal, sorry,
I've got Vastal here. I have 90 points under 190, and I have got admission in Masters of Data Science from few universities. Any advice on whether I shall wait for direct PR or go student route? Not preferred.
Data science is a very good area. Data mining, data science is very good, but being a student, it'll let you come to Australia quickly. And I don't say it's I wouldn't say use that to migrate. Your genuine intention has to be study. But if you come to Australia to study these days, it will open up more migration pathways as well, because you'll learn about Australian way of data science as well, and these universities will open up, and you'll be able to work with Australian companies and understand Australia.
You will broaden up your options if you come to Australia, if we put it that way. All right, I'll move to the next question. I've got Vinod here. Please share update about subclass 482 visa dairy farm.
Dairy farmers in regional occupation lists, not in any other list other than
So you can be eligible for
482 and 494
or 494, depending on how many years work experience you have. Interested to talk to you, please share your information with us. We will give you a consultation to give you personalized advice. I've got Jaspreet. What are my chances under 190 with 75 points? Software engineer based in India.
Very low.
quite low, to be honest with you. Maybe next year you will have better opportunity.
Yeah,
or the year after.
with the high demand within the country, we can't say you're not eligible. You are, I mean, eligible to apply for the expression of interest, but quite low. Sorry, to bring that in. There are other options though.
I've got San. For Global Talent Visa, is 1 year contract accepted to apply for Global Talent Visa? How long is the contract should be? So there is no strict time frame how long your contract has to be, as long as you can prove that you may have high income threshold job offer, your chances will go up. Yeah, I've got Devin. Study master. Maybe I'm starting master degree, 2 course health and science. What work can I do to Canada? Again, I'm really sorry, we don't help with Canadian visas. I've got Bhavesh. I'm Indian farmer, want Australian PR. Please assist me. So get in touch with us. We need lots more information. And we can see if there are any options for you. I've got Yondo, struggling to find work in field of study, civil engineering on 485 visa. If I don't find work in time before 485 ends, is a hope to still acquire PR.
If you're already
do a master's and then try apply PR? Please get in touch with a really good migration agent. I think you really need that PR pathway drafted for you, especially if you're not working. Then at least you will know now what will happen at the end of your 485. Don't wait until 2 days after your 485 ends. Get in touch with someone and get a really good PR pathway drafted, whether it's study or small business owner or moving to another state, moving to Tasmania, whichever it is, have a really good migration agent draft it for you.
Priyanka Ahuja, thanks for your question.
Thanks, Priyanka. We'll get in touch with you. Thank you for sharing your details.
Please don't share your email address on the comments, because you don't know who's there. We have comments from our clients with bad experience, so we will email it to you and also feel free to contact us via admin@sirus.com.au. We have listed your our email address down below. So
so few people are asking about borders opening and offshore migration. Guys, as we said, offshore migration 2021 not looking very good. 2022 we are hoping it will be better. Borders open dates, we don't know for sure when the borders
depending
will open.
On
but we will be one of the first to let you know when we find out.
When it comes to offshore migration, if you're going through business categories, business is still open, and the good thing about business migrants, they're allowed to travel in and out of the country as well. If you got we got some clients traveling in next month and this month who have the visa granted. So 188 visa, it's whether you're onshore or offshore, doesn't matter. You can still go through. And
but
also
skill
global
migration
talent
is different.
Yeah, so skill migration, very, very bad. You still have options with Tasmania, as I said earlier.
So I've got Deepti here. Hi, I already have received nomination from SA and have applied for the visa. So she's waiting for the visa. I'm pretty sure your visa will be processed. Whether you applied for 190 or 491, I'm not sure. But if you applied for 190, which is permanent residency, if it's granted, you can come to Australia. But if it's 491, unfortunately, you can't come to Australia even though your visa is granted.
So we've got a few questions that we'll quickly go through, and then we'll have to wrap it up for the day.
Some questions that are very common and
let's do the South Australian one. Kayur Patel.
I've got Kayur. Hi, would you please provide some reflection on probability of getting 491 with MBA and accounting experience in South Australia? So first thing, South Australia will only invite you if you're living and working in South Australia. So if you're offshore or in another state, Kayur, you will not get the invitation. But if you're in South Australia, from my memory, accountant is only available through the talent stream. So get in touch with us. I think it's a very personalized question. We will look, as I said, different occupations are very different in South Australia. We will look into your occupation and we will give you advice.
And also there's a good question from Deepti Narayan.
I have already received nomination for us. We already answered that question from Deepti. Which courses has more scope and job prospective? Master of Tourism and Hospitality or Master of Women Leadership? I have received offer letter of Kaplan Business, Melbourne. I wouldn't probably study in Melbourne.
Oh, don't say that. That's not right.
No, they are much better.
No.
No, both courses are good, but tourism and leadership will not actually, to be honest, lead you to very desirable occupations when you look at from the state's perspective.
Look, coming to Australia and studying is not all about a migration pathway. Melbourne is a great city with a lot of exposure to tourism and hospitality sector. There, I love going to Melbourne just because purely they have many restaurants, especially Sri Lankan restaurants.
Melbourne's great for holiday.
And it's a commercial capital as well in Australia, because there's a lot of they've got very active port in seaport in Melbourne, so there are other opportunities. So there's no bad thing about going to study in there. So
I've got Adarsh asking, is that Jesus' picture of last dinner behind you guys? No, it's not the Last Supper. It's a different picture.
It's a picture we had all the way. So
I think we are done with questions. We are running out of our time. Thank you. And well, we've got 2 questions in Facebook. Okay, let's have a very quick look. What are the steps to undertake care for doing skill assessment for F&B manager? I think it is done through Vet Assess. Get in touch with us. We will give you a checklist and how to do the skills assessment. Okay, we are in bridging visa for 485 from Melbourne. I have been working 1.8 years ICT business analyst. Got the skills assessment, got another job offer from regional New South Wales. Take it. Company and asked to work from Melbourne CPD or from Bendigo. I have 55 points at the moment. What would be the best option for me? 491. I think you should move to regional New South Wales if they are going to. If you have a job offer, then you have a much better chance. If you're still waiting for bridging visa for 485, that's great. So which means your 485 is not even been granted. So you will get it for 2 years. So most likely, if you move to regional New South Wales, you will have a much better chance, given that you have
60
kind
points.
of low score as well.
60, then with the scores, then 75. Yeah, that's not a bad one for 491.
491, yes.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, guys. The rest of the questions that we couldn't answer, how are we going to deal with them?
I think we're pretty much done, isn't it, with all the questions? So
we have some questions, guys. If we could not get to your question, could you please email us admin@sirus.com.au, and I think we are going to repost this video in YouTube, and our Facebook video will stay in Facebook. So re-comment it, repost your comment. We are trying to get back to all of our viewers. And we are also giving some free consultations for our viewers, depending on your case, just to thank you for your continuous support each week. Some people are now waiting for our live session, our video to go live. So we are also excited knowing that we have people coming in every week to listen to us, and we are trying our best to get the latest and the most valuable information for our viewers to help them with Australian migration.
And thank you very much. And please be in touch with us if you have any questions, and if you have an urgent matter, please let one of our staff know that it's how urgent it is. And if you need urgent attention, we're always here to help you, regardless of our availabilities, etc.
And also, guys, keep in mind, we are closed from tomorrow and we are reopening on Tuesday. So even if you send us emails to admin, your emails may not get answered till next Tuesday. That's not because we are ignoring you. That's because it's a holiday in Australia.
In Australia, you don't get many long holidays as some other countries. So we have from tomorrow all the way to Tuesday. So we're starting back on Tuesday. So no one's in the office. We won't be, none of the offices are open.
We won't be manning our emails for a change.
So if you haven't heard from us, it's not we ignoring you. It'll be just because we are not in the office till Tuesday. Until then, if you have If you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button so you will know each time when we put out one of our videos. And we do put out new videos out every week. Next 3 months going to be lots of information coming through about new visa categories and new changes. Coming up to 1st of July, a lot of changes and a lot of new news. So stay safe. Have whoever's on shore, have a long Easter weekend for you.
And happy Easter to whoever's celebrating Easter.
And
we'll see you again next week.
Bye-bye.